It's another Friday, the first since Hurricane Melissa made its devastating landfall on the island, and the last day of October. We continue to stand in unity with those now dealing with the loss of loved ones, property and livelihoods. As the recovery process gets underway, today we have updates on water issues and the government's response, plus relief support for vulnerable groups. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Jamaica Magazine.
Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan and this is your JS News for Friday, October 31, 2025. Government has confirmed that its various disaster insurance facilities, which could result in a payout of nearly $279 million, have been triggered by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Minister of Information Dana Morris-Dixon gave the confirmation during this morning's press briefing at Jamaica House.
Over the next few weeks, we'll get more details into what the payout is and all of that, but they have been triggered, and as the info comes, you will get it. But what's important to note is that we're not dependent on the insurance payouts, because we do have readily available as a part of the contingencies fund, which we budget for every single year. We have $5.3 billion in that. And in our disaster risk fund, our national disaster risk fund, we also have another $1 billion Jamaican. These are Jamaican dollars that is ready to be mobilized. And so please rest assured that the government has some access to immediate funds.
Yesterday, the Minister of Finance, Favour Williams, explained that the country had two potential insurance payouts under the Caribbean Catastrophe Insurance Facility, CCRIF, $91.6 million for tropical cyclones and $37.3 million for excess rainfall. The catastrophe bond, otherwise called CAT bond, has a payout of up to $150 million.
Additionally, we do have loans, contingent loans from our international partners. And so from the IDB, we also have a contingent credit facility of US $285 million. So you can see if the layers are exhausted, you can see how we can continue to the next layer.
Meanwhile, financial and other support for disaster recovery continues to come in from Jamaica's regional and international partners. Yesterday, the Minister of Finance received $200,000 worth of relief supplies from the Cayman Islands at the Norman Manley International Airport. Delivered by the Premier of the Cayman Islands, Andre Banks, it consisted of approximately 1,500 packages containing cleaning supplies, tools, hygiene products, generators, batteries and other essential items. It is the first delivery as part of a package of aid support from the Cayman Islands totaling $1.2 million. Cabinet has established several Hurricane Melissa recovery subcommittees to coordinate a comprehensive response following its meeting on Thursday. The details were revealed by Information Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon at the Daily Update press briefing this morning. Ministers Desmond McKenzie and Darrell Vaz have been tapped to co-chair a Relief and Recovery Oversight Committee. Other members include Ministers Pernell Charles Jr., Matthew Samuda, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, Favour Williams, Kamina Johnson-Smith, Ambassador Audrey Marks and Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon. Minister Morris-Dixon also informed that a subcommittee of churches will be mobilized by Minister Olivia Grange.
This is going to be the priority of the government, and we have to have all cabinet ministers with all hands on deck to treat with this. We have never had a Category 5 hurricane in our country. The devastation on the West is unimaginable. And so after Cabinet met yesterday, several committees are now working.
A subcommittee for the private sector has also been activated, and their first meeting was scheduled for 4 p.m. today. This is being co-chaired by Senator Keith Duncan and Ambassador Audrey Marks.
The private sector is very clear that they need to step up to the table. Meetings have already started along with other ministers in terms of addressing the immediate need in communities. What is more important, that it is a public-private NGO aid agency, a coordinated, structured approach that is data-driven, that ranks vulnerable communities, that ensures that we're getting to the areas of greatest need, that ensures that there's a delivery mechanism in place to get there in a timely manner.
Due to the break in communication in hard-hit areas, Minister Robert Montague is being tasked with coordinating a plan to help individuals get in touch with family members or get information on them.
Flow has indicated that they're going in with charging devices so that people can charge their phones and they can get some signal. We're also working today to get into at least the police stations, getting them Starlink as best as possible, and also getting them some fuel too, so that we can, and generators, so that communities and members of the community can go to the police station.
In very sober news, the authorities have now confirmed 19 lives lost due to the passage of Hurricane Melissa. In addition, the Information Minister Dana Morris-Dixon says there are also credible reports of 4 bodies in Westmoreland and 1 in St. Elizabeth that need to be retrieved.
We do not count the numbers until the JCF has been able to go to the site and retrieve the body and confirm it. So we're still at 19 confirmed, but we do expect that that number will change today. And when the number changes, I will let you know. These are Jamaicans who we're so devastated to know that they have lost their lives. Every single life that is lost is a huge tragedy.
She says the government is doing its best to retrieve the bodies and provide support to those families that need it.
And I ask for everybody to just pray for those who are in these affected areas. Pray for those families who've lost their loved ones. It is never easy to lose a loved one, but to lose a loved one and also to be in this state where all around you is devastation is even harder.
Minister Morris-Dixon adds that a major focus is on working quickly to deliver relief support to save lives. A part of that is getting access to the affected areas, and she advised that the National Works Agency has cleared the road leading from Hanover to Westmoreland. The NWA is also working to clear a road or build one if they must from Westmoreland to Black River, hoping to have that in place by Sunday night. There are now about 7,000 persons in 430 emergency shelters across the island. This as the government continues to assist those affected by the hurricane. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie, who is also the Deputy Chair of the National Disaster Response Council, provided the update during this morning's press briefing.
But again, as I've been saying before, there are many communities that because of the conditions there, persons have generated shelters on their own. And we are expecting that over the next couple of days, we will see a reduction in the shelters and we'll be in a much better position to manage how we respond to those locations over the next couple of days.
Yesterday, the minister stressed that the government had no plans to close shelters despite misinformation circulating on social media. He assured that relief teams were working to deliver food, water and supplies to communities in the hardest hit parishes. Plans are underway for the arrival of 8 to 10 helicopters from the United States government to assist with national relief operations. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says the aircraft will support the transport of relief supplies and medical evacuations in areas hardest hit by Hurricane Melissa.
Big helicopters that have the ability to transfer and treat patients that may need underground treatment, plus, of course, be able to carry a lot of relief supplies. Not to mention that some of the charitable organizations that are here, the big ones, have their own assets, private helicopters, and I suspect that by end of today, we will probably have about 6 or 7 of those.
Minister Vaz says work is ongoing to ensure smooth logistics in the delivery of aid to affected communities.
What we will do with that is to coordinate between the JDF, who will be overall in charge of the flight operations of those helicopters, and of course the non-government organizations who are anxious to get out there, and of course the government's response through Ministry of Labour and Social Security and other arms of government to make sure that we have a smooth logistics trying to get into as many communities as possible at the same time or in succession.
The minister reveals that the Norman Manley International Airport NMIA has already received 13 cargo relief flights, not including private and commercial aircraft, with more than 20 additional cargo flights expected today. As it regards the Sangster International Airport, which sustained damage to one of its terminals and other infrastructure, this will reopen for commercial flights at 7 a.m. on Saturday, November 1. The airport was also temporarily reopened on Thursday to accommodate relief flights.
That allows us to get out all of the persons, the tourists especially, who are here and need to get out, and also more access for commercial and relief supplies, persons who want to come back in to help and persons who want to go out.
Minister Vaz says the country will continue to operate from all three of its international airports to support both relief efforts and regular commercial travel. The Ministry of Education says schools in areas that are not badly affected will reopen on Monday, November 3. Portfolio Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says she's aware that a lot of schools are still without water and electricity, even in places that were not badly affected.
We're doing the assessments and we are looking at an emergency plan. I've asked Senator Marlon Morgan to work primarily on this emergency plan because we're going to have a plan for children in Westmoreland, in Hanover, in St. Elizabeth, and in St. James. And so we are working through that.
Meanwhile, the National Education Trust, NET, has launched a Hurricane Melissa Disaster Recovery Schools Needs Survey and Recovery Fund. This is to ensure a targeted and efficient rebuilding process, mobilizing the global community to help with these efforts. School leaders are asked to urgently report all damage or losses related to buildings, grounds, furnishings, equipment, and essential learning materials. And finally, the Ministry of Health and Wellness says it will be mobilizing public health inspectors across the island to do assessments of food facilities where contamination from floodwaters is suspected. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton highlights that food-related diseases are very possible, and the team will be out to ensure that the integrity of the food chain is maintained.
The team will be out in the field right after to examine and to ensure that the food supply remains intact, and they do have the law on their side to protect consumer safety. They, under the law, have the authority to seize and dispose of foods that they suspect is contaminated.
Meanwhile, Minister Tufton says mental health support is being provided through the various helplines to help persons deal with the trauma they have experienced. Dr. Tufton is urging persons to call 888 New Life. That's 888-639-5433 or 876-838-4897.
We're encouraging persons to use the lines if you need to talk to someone. We have members manning those lines on standby, and we'll provide whatever support that we can give.
And that's it for JS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
There are some safety hazards to bear in mind as you move around after a tropical storm or hurricane. Stay away from all downed power lines, which can still be live and lethal, and report them to the electricity company. Avoid walking or driving through floodwaters, as these may be contaminated with sewage, chemicals, and bacteria that pose serious health risks. There may even be submerged debris or live power lines. Do not enter damaged homes or buildings until the authorities have declared them safe. When you do, watch out for loose parts and listen out for unusual shifting sounds, which could indicate an imminent collapse. And as you go about cleanup activities, make sure to wear protective clothing like gloves and sturdy boots. Be cautious and stay safe as you go about picking up the pieces after a hurricane.
Government is busy taking stock of the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa and making plans for the long road of recovery that's ahead for the island. Up next, the minister managing the water portfolio addresses plans for that sector.
The larger issue that we face, as you can imagine, is in Western Jamaica. I'll start first with the Northwest. Something that we hadn't contemplated or certainly had hoped wouldn't happen has indeed occurred. The Great River water system is on the boundary of St. James and Hanover. Its intake pipes were dislodged and washed away in the storm. The Great River water system serves just under about 35 to 40% of St. James and most of Hanover up to about Logwood. So you understand the disruption that this will indeed cause. Contractors have already been mobilized. The pipes are already on site. We have been working with NWA. There will be a temporary intake installed, which will cause some traffic disruption, and the longer term work will take about 6 weeks. But we expect to complete the temporary reconnection by Sunday evening. That will allow us to pump pretty much for 70% of Hanover and 35 to 40% of St. James. I think that's important for residents there to note. We do have a generator on site at this water treatment plant, so as soon as we're able to pull water into that facility, that will help. The Martha Brae system, which tends to be the next largest system supporting approximately 50% of northern Trelawney and about 50% of St. James, especially the Montego Bay metropolitan area, is being impacted by turbidity of the Martha Brae River. With where that is now, we expect that to significantly reduce over the next 36 hours. We do have generator on site. We will be able to pump water into homes immediately after turbidity subsides within that 36-hour period. As it relates to Logwood, which is the major supply for Negril and sections up to about Landilo, it was damaged during the storm in terms of the electrical supply. We have repaired that and we have commenced pumping. So within the next 12 hours, persons from Logwood to Negril to about Landilo should be seeing water as we backfill those lines. We're working to do the assessments in the rest of Westmoreland. Access and connectivity with our team has indeed caused challenges. A team from Trelawney and Montego Bay is physically going to sites throughout the course of the day. We'll be better able to update as it relates Westmoreland, I would imagine by close of business. There are 17 systems that we had evaluated between eastern St. Elizabeth and central Westmoreland that we have made arrangements for generators. We are working with the JDF to establish the routes to install these over the next 36 to 48 hours. Clarendon is currently impacted heavily by energy issues, certainly at our pumps. The JPS has advised that the major ones that service central Clarendon, not political boundary but geographic boundaries, will be energized by this evening. The St. Catherine treatment plant is already back in operation. We expect backfilling of lines from Spanish Town, certainly into Old Harbour, to be complete before the end of the day, and persons in St. Catherine should largely have water supply by close of business. That's for the plains. We expect to deploy generators, 8 generators, which will function to restore approximately 50% of Portland and approximately 60% of St. Thomas before the end of the day. We're working very closely with our partners in JPS to restore power firstly to the systems that supply hospitals, infirmaries, places of safety, places of detention, and of course airports. We have commenced loading bay operations at Logwood in Hanover to deal with most of Hanover and western Westmoreland. We have commenced loading bay operations in Trelawney that will start to deal with eastern St. James. We are working to get power source to a small well that we do have in western St. James to commence trucking by this evening in the western half of St. James. We are pushing very hard to deploy our generators and to work with JPS to hit our 70% target by the 72-hour mark of restoration for customers.
are not entitled to not even tomorrow, but we got to make the most of today. And we do so by understanding that as Jamaicans, our spirit must be a spirit of unity, a spirit of purpose, and a spirit of gratitude, where we appreciate what is taking place, and we also appreciate that it never took place before. So even though we are stressed, we are blessed.
In addition to immediate emergency welfare response, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is carrying out assessments in communities most affected by Hurricane Melissa, as it maps the level of assistance that will be required in the medium to long term. The recently introduced I Am Able My JCPD app will be a game changer in ensuring that this assistance reaches all affected persons, including those with disabilities. Up next, we revisit the launch to understand just how this app can support the distribution of relief services for one of our most vulnerable groups.
Bus and taxi fare for going a town. Whole heap of waiting time. We are indeed honored to be able to serve the community through digital services. The official launch of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities mobile application and management information system, a bold step in digital inclusion and service delivery for persons with disabilities in Jamaica. This launch is not just about technology. It's about empowerment, accessibility, and transforming how we connect people to the services they deserve.
According to the World Health Organization estimates, approximately 400,000 persons with disabilities live in Jamaica, about 15% of the overall population. As of July 29, 2025, the JCPD database reveals that only 17,673 persons with disabilities are registered, and 30,809 applications so far processed through the system. This means that only about 4.4% of Jamaica's estimated population of persons with disabilities are currently registered with the JCPD, something the agency is looking to change with the launch of its I Am Able mobile app.
This digital transformation is a critical step towards closing that gap and ensuring that more individuals can be registered to enable them to access the services and support that you deserve. The JCPD has long served as a cornerstone of support and advocacy for persons with disabilities across Jamaica. However, with several service inefficiencies, and you know what I'm talking about, inability to reach the majority of our clients, we recognize the growing need for a modern, efficient, and accessible service delivery.
Made possible through an investment by UNICEF Jamaica, the system promises grand changes for those living with disabilities in the country.
This system ensures that children with disabilities are properly registered, recognized, and supported starting from birth and continue through their early years of education. By digitizing and connecting social services, Jamaica is not only improving efficiency but also promoting greater fairness and inclusion for some of our most vulnerable young citizens.
The app will allow individuals to register or renew their status with the JCPD from their mobile phones, upload documents such as TRNs and medical certificates, and track their application in real time, reducing approval time from 30 days to just minutes. It also facilitates applying for grants, tax exemptions, and assistive devices, as well as ID cards, parking stickers, and letters.
Jamaica should be proud, as we are highlighting that what is possible when policy, purpose, and partnership converge.
we are making it crystal clear that technology is not to be placed on a shelf. Technology is to be used for the benefit. It is to serve everyone, especially the vulnerable who will benefit the most from it. But the responsibility is to take that technology and bring it closer to the people who need to use it.
It helps you to put in all the information that you need for doctor bill, transportation, health issue, travel issue, everything that you needed. That hub contains all of those information once you put them in.
My JCPD app is a game changer in that for persons who are blind or visually impaired in particular, I see where it will allow them to be independent in terms of a registration process, in terms of a follow-up process.
With the introduction of this digital platform, we are not just establishing innovation, we are expanding access, breaking down barriers, and opening new frontiers in service delivery. The I Am Able My JCPD system is more than just a technological upgrade. It is a statement that every Jamaican, regardless of disability, deserves access to efficient, transparent, and responsive services. It is also a tool for empowerment, ensuring that persons with disabilities can engage with the JCPD and the wider society with greater independence and dignity.
Have you seen any of these signs and are ready to buy land or property? Want to know who is the legal owner? Purchase a copy of the title using eLand Jamaica. With eLand Jamaica, you can do a title search and verify the owner of the property, ensuring they have the legal right to sell it. For more information, contact the National Land Agency at www.nla.gov.jm. via telephone at 876-750-5263 or 876-946-5263. Email asknla@nla.gov.jm or message us on WhatsApp at 876-418-5089. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal to serve you better.
That's all the time we have for today. Until next time, for a full recap and more, visit our website at jis.gov.jm. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.